Hello, everyone. Um, we are doing a live segment today. This segment is going to be about egg cleansing and other methods of cleansing. The reason that we thought we would do this is because a few people that I know has been doing egg cleansing and they've been doing it the wrong way. Um, how they've been doing it is just I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of scary. So when you do an egg cleanse, you don't need to do 4 eggs at a time. You do not need to sleep an, with an egg in your bra because you're going to crunch it and it's going to be a yucky mess, or even put it into your bed next to you or something underneath a pillow, um, or put it at 4 corners of your room while you sleep. So we're going to show you, Nico and I, is how to do the correct way on doing an egg cleansing. Okay. And Nico should be coming on here in just a second.
Hi guys.
Okay, great. So, Nico,
Yep.
are you ready to get us started on how you're going to do a step by step on an egg cleanse for everybody?
All right. So for this, I recommend a clear cup or jar, and I'm gonna pull up. I have a second camera set up for this. So we have a mason jar here with regular water. You can use holy water, blessed water, moon water if you prefer. And then I have my egg. We'll go there. And ideally, you want to let this egg sit out for about an hour. It ideally room temperature because nobody likes to rub a cold egg on themselves. That's not an ideal situation. You can do a cold. Um, I did not prep this egg long enough. It is still slightly cold, but it'll work. Um, and then we are going to pray over the egg, and this can be a mantra. You're telling the egg what you want it to do. Um, and that can be as simple as with this egg, I declare that all illness, negativity, and curses be stored from a life for a life, from mine to yours. So will it be. And then I start by holding my egg and I start thinking about all of the crud that you've gone through for the week, day, month. I recommend doing these, weekly if things are really bad. I do mine once a month, and I do mine on the full moon as part of my practice. And then if things are really chaotic or I feel weird, I may do another one, but I typically do one about once a month. And so I'm just sitting with the egg here for a second, and then we are going to rub the egg from top all the way down, so from head to toe. And you can do this. I've seen people do circles, I've seen people do straight lines up and down. But you want to get in as many nooks and crannies as you possibly can. So I'm going to start with my head. So I go front to back on my head, around my head, across my third eye, eyes, mouth, throat, back of the neck, behind my ears, and then I go down my arms, both sides, all the way up to the underarm, across the chest, down the other arm. And then I go sweeping motions down my chest. And then I'm not the most flexible person, so I like to hold the egg along my spine. If you can reach to sweep the egg up and down yourself, more power to you. Or if somebody else is doing the egg rubbing for you, and you can do this on yourself or somebody else. You can do this on an animal too. I have seen that as well. I actually think it's quite cute. And then down the legs. So from thigh all the way to the bottom of your feet. I do the top of my legs, hit the bottom of my feet, sides, and then hit the back. And then where I deviate from this is I hold my egg and cup it, and then I breathe or exhale 3 times onto the egg, and I'm visualizing any like black, gunky, slimy being exhaled and pushed into the egg. All right, and then crack this sucker. And then we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes, and this is going to allow any bubbles that are going to form to have time to rise up. Um, and ideally 10 minutes to 30 minutes, um, just to let the egg kind of develop and kind of show you what's going on. So I will turn our egg off for a minute and we'll come back to that in a little bit.
Okay, awesome then. And once we go back to the egg, we have interpretation of what each egg will mean. Um, Nick is going to do, of course, that first egg, but some of the meanings we have, he will explain that in just a moment for you.
Mhm.
Once we go back to that egg, in the meantime, um, I do have some questions that I would like to ask Nico.
Yep.
Nico is into folk magic, so he does some cleansing that might be different than some others. So, first of all, I want to ask Nick. Now, Nico, you also do cleansing yourself with smoke and incense.
Yep.
How do you do this, and how do you think is it really effective or not?
I think so. Um, so for I guess the difference between like doing smoke cleansing and an egg cleanse, smoke cleanse is gonna be like a quick, like I need to just like refresh myself and get kind of the cred of the day off. An egg cleanse does do a little bit deeper and shows us some other things. Um, Whereas smoke cleanse, generally I'm doing this to like set myself in between like seeing a client if I'm doing healing work or after doing spell work to especially for other people to like disconnect myself from their energies or to help settle my own energy. And for me, um, if you're using, a smoke bundle, sage, cedar, sweetgrass, juniper, um, light that, and then you can use a smudge fan to direct it towards you or waft it with your hands. And then I like to take the bundle around my head, and then I fan my chest, under the arms, in between my legs, and then under the soles of my feet. Now, if I'm performing like a smudging ritual, like the actual smudging ritual, which will be different than like a seining, which is what I had just described. That's
Mm-hmm.
Native American practice, and that is a little bit different. Um, and that uh, is more akin to washing yourself with smoke, and there's prayers involved with that, so that is done a little bit differently.
Great. Yeah, we always done the shaman way with them smoking incense
Mm.
for, before we enter any rituals or anything. Okay, what's the most important thing to remember when cleansing negative energy?
I think having a good, like, what I call the spiritual hygiene practice. So having a schedule of when you do cleanse, and I think that regularly cleansing is important, but like scheduling it so that you don't necessarily overdo it.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Um,
Yes, it does. Because in magic and cleansing or anything, people sometimes tend to overdo it.
mhm. And especially when doing like a cleansing that has a divination aspect to it, if I do that too much, I can't read that because there's not enough information collected, if that makes sense. The
Yep.
the egg wouldn't have enough in between cleansing to do it. Now, if your egg looks really bad, I recommend doing a second egg to make sure that you get it all off, or
Hmm.
follow up, do the egg, use it as the divination, and then follow that up with another cleansing method, whether you're um, smudging yourself or you do like a spiritual bath or energy work, crystals, anything along those lines to make sure that you're getting it done because you can just do the egg as a divination technique. And then there's another style where reading the egg is also optional. You don't have to read the egg. Um, and there is a precaution with reading the eggs is you do not look at the glass from the top down. You always want to look at the glass from the side. So whether you have to put a lid on this, which is why I like using mason jars, so that
Hmm.
you don't accidentally look at the egg from the top, because the folklore to that is that looking down upon the egg from the top will have it jump back onto you, and then you have to start all over.
Oh, that is interesting. Interesting. Thank you. Not to put you on the spot here, but can you share a personal experience with a powerful cleansing ritual?
Yes. So I have a fondness of ritual baths or showers.
Oh.
So one of my favorite ways to do that is so before rituals, or I've had a really gross day and I just want to get it off. Folk magic is filled with a lot of sympathetic magic, and that is doing something in the mundane and adding a spiritual aspect to it. So, showers, we're washing our body and we're cleansing the dirt off of ourselves. So, adding a ritualistic aspect to that with prayers, and then you can add oils, herbs, salts, or just visualizations, and then help send all of that negativity down the drain with the dirt. And that kind of helps with the visual aspect of like I'm not just physically clean, but I'm like spiritually clean at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And a practice like that, I find that probably 90% of the crud that people accumulate, the jealousy, envy, evil eye, um, that ill intent that people send to you, it washes down the drain. Now, if somebody's working really, really heavy curse work, it might not break that depending on what herbs and stuff you're adding, but that's what the egg is going to show us if something like that's going to be going on. And then we can tailor a bath to that with adding like rue, mint, calendula, or agrimony and some salt.
Wow, very interesting. Okay, very educational too, if I may add. Oh, shoot. Am I still on? Yes, I am.
Yep.
Everything just went blank for me. So,
Oh,
just give me a moment here. How's that egg doing, by the way?
let's take a look and
Is it
see.
time, you think, or I don't think so.
Uh,
Probably not yet.
we got some development. Uh,
Okay.
Maybe give it another minute or two and see if we get any more movement.
Okay. Great. Okay. So, how did you find out about doing the egg cleansing? Is that something that was your priest or priestess told you, or something that you just got out of some books or something?
A little bit of both, actually. So,
Okay.
Chrissy, being my priestess here, our tradition does do egg cleansings,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as in my folk magic tradition, eggs are used as a divination to check for what they call the ear eye, the evil eye, as well as curses. And so the divination aspect was something that I had already done, but in traditional
Okay.
witchcraft, they're worked a little different. So traditional witchcraft, once we're done reading the egg, you can perform a return to sender right in the jar. Whereas in folk magic, I'm gonna go throw this at a crossroads and then
Okay.
don't look back at it. So I mean the disposals are a little different. Where I traditional or modern witchcraft, you can perform a return to sender if the egg looks bad and then flush it down the toilet. If you're
Okay.
all clear and the egg looks good, if you want to make an omelet with it, more power to you. I like to use old eggs for this so that I'm not going to waste anything. So ideally, I like to do these. That's why I do them about once a month because about the time my eggs go bad and I'm gonna get ready to toss them out or make eggshell powder anyway. So
Pretty cool. How do you know when a space or person needs cleansing?
there's a couple ways. So if you go the mundane route, you've had arguments. You know that people are gossiping about you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have an unusual string of bad luck, and I always say, once is interesting, twice is a coincidence, three times is concerning.
True.
So if I have three bad things happen to me in a day, and they're like kind of weird, I'm probably gonna go home and do an egg cleanse and check on it and kind of see what's going on.
Okay. And for other people too, what would you suggest? Um, how they feel, like icky. Usually when I
Yeah.
feel icky and I feel like I had a bad week, it's like, okay,
Mm,
I just need to do one. Usually I do
yep.
once a month like you. But sometimes I do once a week because it's like it's just been a minute.
Yep.
So I feel better once I do one. So if you saw me and you was like, "Oh, hey, Gypsy, I think you really need to do a cleansing." I
Mm,
mean, do you actually
I
do
mean,
that to other people?
yes. So generally, someone will tell you like they're venting. My week's been really bad.
Mm,
Like I lost my job, or you know, my spouse burnt $100,
oh,
or like you know, my coworkers are gossiping about me, and I stubbed my toe, and all this happens in like 2 days, and it's like, oh, maybe we should look at something.
yeah.
and
Mhm. Right, Right.
or for a space like weird. There's like a weird odor sometimes, and it kind of varies. Uh, but I work in a senior living center, and I walked into a resident's room, and his room smelled like rotten eggs and stale
Oh,
urine,
ooh.
and I could not find the source of this smell for the life of me. Don't know why it smelled like that. And I walked in this room, and the hair on my arm stood up like I was like in a ball of static, and it's like I don't like it here. So I did what I had to do, and I got out of that room, and it's like that. There's something wrong with that.
Most definitely. Um, a lot of people thinks that cleansing and protection might be the same thing, but it's not. So,
No,
what's the difference between cleansing and protection?
cleansing is removing negativity. Sometimes I hate to say illness, but in some folk traditions, it's used when you're not feeling well for pains. You're just feeling icky for nightmares. And how you do the egg with those depends on what's going on. So, like,
Okay.
if you have you're feeling sore, you may rub it on your sore joints, things like that, and then dispose of the egg. Nightmares. You can put the egg in a glass of water uncracked and put that under your bed, or put that um, on your nightstand, or if you have a secure place, you can put an uncracked egg on like a bedpost. I have cats. That's not super dependable for me. And it looks like we lost Chrissy, so I'm hoping she pops back in here. Um, but as far as cleansings versus protections, cleansings are I almost want to say the maintenance for before I do protections or after. So I look at cleansings more like brushing my teeth, and protections more like making sure my front door is locked. So cleansings for me are getting rid of the little stuff and the bleed over. And this can be unintentional energies. This can be um, because that's probably 90% of what people are going to encounter. Um, Not saying that there aren't a lot of witches, but the instance that you're going to get targeted by somebody with negative witchcraft is few and far between. So I'm not concerned with that as much with where people directing negative intent, jealousy, the evil eye, gossip. That's more like the little stuff. Now,
Mm-hmm.
being in the public eye in the witchy community can make you more likely to get in a witch war with somebody if you have
Yeah.
issues with jealousy or all kinds of things. But those are going to be fewer and farther between. Not saying that they don't happen, but it's
Yes.
rarer than people think it is. And
Yeah, it's true. And I, I've been in about a couple myself, so
mhm.
I know how it is.
And for cleansings, like I said, cleansings like locking your front door for me, or cleansings like brushing your teeth, and protections are like locking the front door. If you can't break into my house the normal way because everything's locked,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to break a window or pick the lock. So, and if you have multiple protections, you have the deadbolt, you have the chain on the door, you have the bottom lock, and you put that stick or the chair up against that doorknob, they're probably not getting through. And then I have to deal with my own crud that I accumulate. instead of other
Yes.
people's cred on top of that. Which you can, that's one of the things you can do cleansings for is to remove your own issues or to look at your own issues.
So cool. Thank you so much, Nico. Okay, so I think it's been over a minute. So how's our egg coming along?
Let's take a look. And can I make egg bigger? Ha. Mm, and bring this back up here. So I have, let's see how well this shows up. A very tiny little needle that's sitting right up here. Ooh, right up here in the front. And then I see some bubbles that are sitting up here with some white strands. Otherwise, looks like the white is a little cloudy, which I'm not super thrilled about. But we have no faces in the yolk. There's no. The yolk is intact. I have a good covering over it, and I have bubbles towards the bottom. And so what we're looking at there is um, my yolk didn't break. I don't have any bloody spots in the yolk. So bloody spots in the yolk are a clear sign that you have either like metaphysical illness or somebody's doing work on you.
Mhm.
Having spines coming up, so you'll have these like really tall needles that'll be like single bubbles with these tall needles coming up. And
Mhm.
those are negativity or somebody talking gossip about you. And then if you get like a big haze coming up that's like crisscrossed, the white comes up and like crosses, that is people being jealous of you and trying to block your path. And then you may see faces in the yolk. Um, I generally see three things. Normally, either an eye, so it'll look a like an animal eye, or you'll see like a cartoon silhouette of a face. And if it's a round face, it is a man, and if it's a thin face, it is a woman. And depending on how the rest of the egg looks, that kind of gives you an indicator of who your problem may be if they show up.
Mhm.
And then the cloudy white of the yolk, or the cloudy white of the egg, shows me that there is some negativity around me. And so where it sits on the glass also kind of tells me a little bit. Where the egg represents you. So the farther away from you, the better you are. So the little bubbles down around the yolk tell me that my spirits have taken care of those, and then the ones up on the top they are removing, and then anything in between is stuff that's stuck to me or was stuck to me and is now in this.
Cool. Very interesting. And I hope it has helped our viewers out there to actually see about what is an egg cleansing. So great. Thank you. And is there any books that we have that we could recommend our readers
The
or viewers?
American
I mean?
Bruja. Let me see what the author is. It's American Brujidia, and it is by J. Allen Cross, and she is a Latina in the U.S. that does Curtismo,
Mm-hmm.
which is a Hispanic folk tradition, and that is one of the bases where egg cleansing comes from. Is from the Latin culture, and it's called huevo or limpia de huevo, so it's the wiping of the or cleansing by egg, wiping of the egg, and hoodoo cleansings and protections is another good book.
I heard of that book, yes. I think I might even have that book.
And that is by Miss Ada, as far as another folk magic book. And then I believe it is in. I want to say that's The Long Lost Friend. And then is it in any modern witchcraft books?
I really cannot remember off bat. Um, I'm like you. My, you know, teacher taught me as well as looking at resources, but I think I never really actually read it in a book. It was just taught, and I just wrote it down into my book of shadows.
And then I do want to say it's not. Egg cleansings are found all around the world. They're read slightly differently, but Sweden does egg cleansings. English folk magic does egg cleansings. They're found in Italian folk magic. They are read in Turkey, China, Latin America, and I believe Nigeria. So you find it in quite a few places. So
Okay.
this isn't necessarily. I've seen some things that they're like egg cleansing or a closed practice. If you're concerned about that, look at the different cultures that practice it and then find a method that works for you.
Okay. Great. Now, speaking of cleansing, since we're on the subject, um, and doing of the egg cleanse, and of course a few that you have done. But can you tell our viewers what type of cleansings can you do? I mean, there's more than one or two, I know.
hmm so some really easy ones are add salt to your hand soap or hand sanitizer. Really easy if you're traveling. Just need a quick little cleanse. Um, that one's really good for readers. If you're reading in between clients, if you have salt in your hand sanitizer, you can just give yourself a quick little rub. You're germ free, and you're cleansed, ready for the next or the next client. Um, you can do aura stroking with a feather or animal wing, and go top to bottom, just like we did with the egg.
Mm-hmm.
You can do water cleansings, so you can water with holy water. You can anoint yourself with holy water, and you can do this by sitting under a tree. Is a really really easy one. I like to do that in the fall, where I'll go take a book and go sit under a tree and then
That's
just
my
picture
favorite. Yes.
the tree cycling up the tree down to the roots, and um, you can do some advanced spell work. Uh, there's a really easy chant that's thrice around the circle bound, all evil sink into the ground.
Hmm.
And then I picture like a drain stopper coming from underneath my feet that you pop open and just straight down.
Yep. Yep.
And then, we have um, ritual cleansings and our spiritual washes, which are, if you're using herbs, you want to steep them for about 10 minutes in a boiling water and then let that cool down till it is tepid or just warm. And then you can, if you don't have a bathtub, you can do this by just putting your hands in this bowl and picture the energy coming down your arms and into this water and like push forward. And then you would go dispose of that outside of your home, or you can, if you have a pan shower, you can pour this over yourself from your head above you and then pour it going down your body.
Yep.
Or you can add this mixture to a bath. If you're going to do it into a bath or a shower, please strain out your herbs. Or if you can find an organza bag, I put my herbs in one of these little mesh bags and then I just tie it shut and I can throw that straight in the bathtub. You do not want to pay $1,000 plumber bill because of witchcraft. Trust me.
True. And you can even just light candles in your room
Hmm.
and just meditate too as well, and
Yep.
just visualize the light coming through you to cleanse
Hmm.
everything away too. I don't know. Do we touch base on how do you? Because a lot of people does the egg cleanse and then return to cinder.
Yep.
So how would you do that? Return to cinder.
I have a premix, but you essentially make like a banishing powder or a hot foot powder, and that's going to be chilies, table pepper, so your cayenne chili powder, hot sauce, salt, black pepper, some garlic. If it smells bad, it's hot and spicy. Um, those are going to be good herbs to send negativity away, and foul smells drive negativity away. So
Mm-hmm.
garlic and onions are used to remove negativity. Black pepper drives away evil. Chili powders and peppers burn negativity and cause harm to spirits. And then salt absorbs negativity or drives away evil. So I have here my pre-made mix that I use for banishings. And then I have a little spoon.
And how much do you put in to the glass with the egg and water? Because I
I'd
know
say
I've
probably
seen a lot of people who just pour and pour and pour, and I always put like a
probably
teaspoon.
a teaspoon to a tablespoon. I mean, like a good glug of hot sauce, but you don't have to dump the whole bottle. We're not making micheladas.
Right, right.
But so like this is a very very tiny spoon. Like this is a baby teaspoon, and so I mean, we'll see what we look like here. I put two of those in, and I don't know if it's going to show up. And then it's sprinkling down over my egg, and it's just enough for it to fall down through the glass. And then you can give that a little stir and say all negativity, witchcraft sent at me, return to you. And then if you're doing the return to sender style, go flush this down the toilet. Try not to look at the top of the jar. So I always carry it like chest level, walk straight to the bathroom, pour it straight in the toilet, and hit the flush,
Yep.
and then walk
That's
away.
about the way I do it. Yep. Walk away. Leave it
hmm
alone.
Yep.
Flush
Or
it.
you can, um, uh, if you're gonna go to a crossroads, keep in mind that that can be in the city. You want a three-way or a four-way.
Hmm.
And then if you were disposing of it in the crossroads, you want to dig a hole big enough for your egg to fit in and bring an offering. So that is coins, liquor, piece of fruit, tobacco. Um, you can leave a crystal. I try not to leave a whole bunch of stuff at the crossroads near my house. If I'm going farther out, maybe. But I'm probably gonna go take a uh, like the tobacco, like a pinch of tobacco, and go sprinkle that. And then the reason we do this at the crossroads is the crossroad is a liminal space. So the crossroad represents fate. So you have the option to go forward, go right, go left, go behind.
Hmm.
And putting this work at a crossroads, if there's a spirit attached to this working, confuses the spirit. And it's a point of transition. So we use this to move things away from us, to help carry works away. So it's also used where you banish people, situations, things like that. And you dig your little hole with a trowel, spoon, stick. Put your sprinkle of tobacco in there. Put your egg in there, and then you are going to turn around, and you are going to walk away, and you are not going to look back at that hole.
And just go on with your life.
Yep. Yep.
Yes. Great. Great. Thank you, Nico. I hope that it does help um, a lot of people out there who maybe has not done a cleanse or have been doing them but might be doing them wrong. Um, there's one other thing you can also do one underneath your bed. Have you ever heard of
Yes.
that one?
Yep. So the one under your bed is done a couple ways. So if you're gonna do it with an egg, I would take a uncracked egg and put this in a glass jar. You can add your water in there if you really want to, but with the egg, you don't. I just don't want it to roll around and get crushed by an animal or taken by one of the animals. And then I'm gonna go stick that under my side of the bed. If you sleep with somebody,
Mhm.
um, if you sleep alone, you can just put it under anywhere under the bed. The other option is scissors. So you get a cup of water, and you can bless this. Use moon water, holy water, tap water. Does not matter. Then you take your scissors and you pop them open into a red angle, so cross. And I personally use iron scissors for this for a reason. Spirits hate iron, and then the cross is supposed to cut and repel negativity. And then I put that on top of my jar and balance those so that the scissors stay open on top of the jar. That would go under the bed or on your nightstand. And then in the morning, I close my scissors and I cut ties to those nightmares, those negative spirits, and then I flush that water down the toilet or throw it away from my house. And that's
Excellent.
really good for nightmares. Um, I've seen some people do it if they're sick. You can also do that with a lemon or lime if you cut that into almost four quarters. So you cut it kind of like a blooming onion in a four, and then you fill the inside with salt, and then you can leave that under a bed or on a table for like 4 to 12 hours, and then you dispose of that, throw it away, and that's really good for my mother in law's coming over and, she's kind of gross sometimes. We got
Mm-hmm.
into a fight, things like that, where it's like, it's just going to help, like, refresh the energy and,
Yeah.
like, draw in that negativity and add a little cleanse.
Great. Okay, so we showed the correct way to do it.
Hmm.
And when I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, there has been some that has done it wrong.
Hmm.
Now, explain to us what would be some of the wrong ways to do it.
Um, so here in America, our eggs are washed and pasteurized, which means they're not shelf stable very long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are a few exceptions to that. So if you're going to do this egg method with a whole egg in a glass of water, and you have a plate on top of this, preferably a clear or white plate, I would be comfortable letting that sit in the water for about a week.
Okay.
Now, if this is an egg that is open to the air, this is immediately going away now that I've cracked it. But unless you're sleeping in an egg in a cup, so 8 hours, maybe 12 max,
Mm-hmm.
then that's immediately getting disposed. If you want to do a longer acting cleanse, I would do like a lemon and salt plate and then change the lemon out, every day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can look at making a longer acting cleanse, like putting brooms over your doors or a piece of selenite above the door frames. And then every time you walk and set that intention with the door frame, like this is the barrier. Every time that somebody walks through here, they are cleansed. And then
Awesome.
that way it's just going to be like a bird smack at a clear window.
Now I know because I was also mentioning earlier that I have known people who would do like 2 to 4 eggs at a time into a jar. Why would
Now,
somebody do that? And why should we not do that?
it must have been a misconception from getting a double yolk in a jar, which is an egg that had a twin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is considered a very good omen in an egg reading, but we don't see that very much in our like store-bought eggs unless you're buying the double yolkers, in which case you know that every yolk is going to be a double yolker.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with farm eggs, you have this like kind of rare chance that you're going to have a double yolk. And that's kind of the congratulations, you're lucky today, go get a lottery ticket.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
I think that's where that came from, is that they must have seen somebody with a double yolk and saw, okay, there's two eggs in this because there's two yolks, so I should do two eggs. Now, occasionally you would have to repeat this egg, like if your yolk broke while you're doing it, or
Mm-hmm.
you see red in the yolk, um, or if you have a lot of activity, like a lot of spikes and things, I might do a second egg. But I'm gonna do my return to sender or bury this one and then go do a second one, or grab another glass and go do another egg, like on its own. I wouldn't put that other egg in this egg because you're mixing the egg whites and then you're going to knock down the spider webs and stuff and you're going to obscure your reading.
Now, how about like somebody's paranoid or something? Like somebody wants to do one every day, maybe 2 times a day, or they want to do like 1 or 2 eggs at a time or 3 eggs at a time. Which we kind of think maybe they're paranoid, maybe. But isn't there some harm in that? Like, are they manifesting something that's not really there?
You have to look at the root cause of why they're doing it. So if this person has a lot of anxiety or depression, or they feel like they're surrounded by spirits, or really bad luck, um, whether it's mundane or magical, there's outside factors to look at, but the one of the things you can do is what's called the self-manifesting prophecy, the self-fulfilling prophecy,
Mhm.
where if you continually look for signs, you will find the problem you're looking for eventually, and or you look at the law of attraction. You attract what you focus on. So
Okay.
if I'm constantly worried about being attacked by witches, whether I do it by my own manifestation or I draw somebody that's going to be angry at me and do it, I'm going to fulfill my own prophecy.
Yeah.
Or um, you're doing the egg cleansing and you're doing the wrong kind of cleansing for what you need. So if you have spirits in your home, this doesn't remove spirits from your home. This may remove a negative attachment or, show you a curse, and then I have to go do a spiritual bath to go remove or break that. This isn't like there's a very specific method to use an egg as a sacrifice to remove an entity from somebody, and this method is not that, and that is a very advanced practice. So if you're gonna do like a cleansing of your house or a banishment, I would probably start with asperging, so using a sprig of herbs and blessed water and going around my house with chants, or smoke cleansing, or like a room mist with like essential oils of like sage, orange, rosemary, and lavender. Um, with like 2 or 3 drops of each, and then put that in a spray bottle with some water and maybe a tiny little bit of rubbing alcohol to fix it. Um, and those would be more likely to remove like negative spirits in your house, but also like just having the that willpower within yourself, and you can just verbally command with like conviction those spirits and tell them, this is where I live, you need to leave. And then be like, you need to leave, and you need to leave now. This is my home, and if you need to go walk up to the front door and go open that front door, point at it, yell at them, do it. My favorite method of telling spirits to get out of my house is I grab 2 stock pots and I walk through my house banging these 2 pots. And it's, if you don't pay rent, you can't stay here.
That's for sure. You don't
If
get a room for free, baby. That's
if you don't
right.
have a heartbeat, you can't stay.
Yes, definitely.
And then
Definitely.
I bang them from my front door all the way upstairs, come back downstairs, go back around to my front door, and I walk them out.
Yes. Yes. I do that too. That's something I always do at like the equinox because
Mhm.
to me the equinox is like, you know, taking things out
Yep.
and bringing things in, like in the spring and bringing the abundance and stuff. But
Mm.
in the fall, I like to take everything that has been coming through the house the
Mhm.
whole year and everything so I can bring in the abundance next time.
Yep.
Um,
We see that twice in folk magic with so around sometime in the fall. So generally for me between September and October,
yeah.
we have a coven banishing ritual where we have a big, huge, like 6 foot bonfire.
Hmm.
And you bring anything that you no longer want or need, whether this is mundane, spiritual, that ex's sweater that's sitting in the back of your closet, a couch, you know, the the jacket from your sick grandma, whatever.
Yep.
And it gets tossed into this pile, and we burn it, and we dance and sing around it, and we bring in and prepare that positive energy to come in because Samhain is our witches' Sabbath of the new year. So
Hmm.
we're letting go of all of the stuff we don't need that we brought in for the year so we can go into the new year with a fresh start.
Yep, that's how I feel about it because in springtime I like to bring in
Yep.
everything. I mean, I like to clean everything and
Yep.
deep clean and just have
Hmm.
a fresh start. Then in the fall I like to also fall cleaning and get
Hmm.
rid of everything.
Yep.
So that's the old saying of spring cleaning and
Hmm.
fall cleaning. I think that's why people do it.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of you will probably hate me for saying this, but it's really true. So,
Yes.
when I do professional cleansings, I make you clean your house. And not because I think you're a gross person, because this negative energy stagnates in the cruddy corners and gets stuck between your boxes and your closets
Yeah.
and old furniture you brought in and things like that. So I make people clean their house from baseboards to ceiling. And then we do the cleansing through the house. So that there's nowhere, no dark little hole left for anything to hide. You need to leave. We're not playing the floor is lava with the demons.
And you hear that, folks. If you need a cleaning for your house, for spring, for fall, or even for yourself, Nico is your man. He
Hmm.
can be found with our Facebook group called Within the Cauldron. He is one of the admins. He's also my cousin, and he is on his way to be an excellent witch. And I do recommend him for your needs, whether if it's a reading, a cleansing, a special rite, or something. He is your man to do it. So
I
once
do
again,
do
he can be
remote
found.
work.
Yeah, he can be found within the cauldron. He can also be found on TikTok. And what's your TikTok name?
Uh, my at is Crystal Heathen. One word. Crystal like the rock, heathen like the Norse pagan.
There you go. And he's also can be found on Discord,
Yep.
on our Discord channel within the cauldron as
Yep.
well.
As Nico the Folk Witch on our Discord channel.
Mhm.
That is my nickname on there. So if you're looking for me in the channel, that's where you'll find me. Um, and then I do all of this work remotely. If you are within I'd say, a 40-minute to an hour drive of me, we may be able to arrange to do that in person, but I can do all of that remote.
So I just want to end our little podcast tonight of saying thank you very much for joining us. And Nico, it has been fun. And I just love when you educate our viewers. It's absolutely awesome. So,
Thank you.
but I just want to say on behalf of Within the Cauldron, Gypsy and Nico, thank you all for joining us. And please have a blessed week. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you guys. And, stay blessed, less stressed, and I hope everybody has a good week. Bye.